My name is Rodney J. Lott, Pastor Rodney J. Lott, pastor of the Greater People's Baptist Church of Dallas, Texas. But I'm a native of Benton Harbor, Michigan, where in 1972, the Lord gave us, after the breaking up of the community choir under the direction of Mr. Eddie Johnson, who left town. A few of us who had been in the community choir decided we wanted to continue singing. So in 1972, a few people gathered at my parents' home here in Benton Harbor, and we sat down and discussed mission and some goals to accomplish as far as singing and continuing. And so I started a small group, and we began to sing local churches, and really didn't have a whole lot of backing, but after a while we kept singing in local churches, small programs, and one of our members at that time was named Linda Brown, said, well, we ought to call ourselves the Sounds Unlimited. And from that, we became the Sounds Unlimited Gospel Ensemble. And since then, we grew in engagements. We traveled so many places around the country during that time. Between about 1973 and 1981, we were blessed to be a part of what was then a really thriving organization, a singing community. It was known as the Benton Harbor Quartet Union. And so many of our members and other people wondered, why would a choir or a group join with a quartet group? But because my parents and family were quartet singers, that's where I grew up, and I learned to love it. And we became a part of that group in the state quartet union and then the national, where we performed on several stages and was received very warmly. So we continued. Remembered every third Sunday of the month at somebody's church in Benton Harbor, we would be there singing with the other quartets, and they really loved us. We grew up under them and appreciated them. And then we became a part of the Gospel Music Workshop of America under the direction of the late Reverend James Cleveland. And I traveled with them from city to city. My first time to see this big conglomerate of well-known gospel singers who I'd listened to most of my youth and admired. And then I got to be in Chicago and see them in person. It was a thrill and a great experience for me. And so the next year I got my group ready, the Sounds Unlimited, and we went to New York City to perform and be a part of the National Gospel Music Workshop. We had family members take us all the way to Detroit to catch the train, and there we were, about 20 of us on a train on the way to New York City. And we probably looked a little country. We had big trunks and suitcases, and some people had garbage bags covering their clothes, but we were so glad to be there amongst all of these, what was called or so-called famous or well-known gospel singers. Got to meet people like James Cleveland and Shirley Caesar, got to meet Albertina Walker, sat at the tables and spoke to those who we had seen down the years on the TV or their records or their albums at that time. And or back in that day, it was something called Jubilee Showcase. They would come on every Sunday morning, maybe a half hour, and we'd be able to see it emanated from Chicago. And before we go to church, we make sure we watch Jubilee Showcase, which always had different national gospel recording artists. And so we continued, and then one day we were blessed to be on Jubilee Showcase in Chicago. And we traveled so many places, of course, around Michigan, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Detroit, and Indiana, as far as South Bend and Indianapolis, and then, of course, Illinois. Our almost home base was in Chicago. We had friends that we sang back and forth with so many times. We were on the highways, and Uh, God spared us so many times of difficulties and accidents and uh, terrorism. One time we had a situation where it seemed like the truckers were trying to run one of our cars off the road, but we were able to get out of there and make it in New York City. Some of our members were robbed as we walked through the streets of Brooklyn, and early in the morning on the way to a service, an 8 o'clock service, we were actually stepping over to get down the sidewalk to the church. People who were laying sleep on the sidewalks. And so we rode the subway there, and people looking at us because we're dressed, and the ladies had on long pink dresses, and we had on like the jacket to match. It was burgundy, and people looking at us. I think one of them woke up one time and said, "I think I'm drunk because I thought I just saw angels." But we were so blessed, and we sang at the Abyssinian Baptist Church, the infamous Abyssinian Baptist Church, Dr. Proctor in New York City. And we were so glad to be there. And then that night, one of those nights at the workshop, the meeting was long, a week long. And so we got the chance to sing on the stage before maybe 10,000 people that week. And we were blessed. We continued to go to the workshop, which meets annually in different cities. I can't recall them all right now, but we were in Kansas. Of course, we went to the one that was in Detroit, a couple that were in Chicago, New Orleans. We traveled on a Winnebago. They drove a Winnebago all the way from Benton Harbor to New Orleans, Louisiana. And we were able to leave there. We had friends in Jackson, Mississippi, where we ministered, and then on to a little place, I can't remember it, in Mississippi, with Reverend Manaway. And we were able to minister at the famous Ebenezer Baptist Church in Mississippi. And so we were blessed, and each time, each travel, God kept us. God took care of us. So many things that we didn't even see, but God was taking care of us. And as I recall, some just incidents. I remember in New York, we had some young people with us, and Emma Beanie Bell, and Stephen Jones, and I assigned them to different people and make sure that they took care of them and watched them because they were minors, 14, 15, 16, somewhere around there. One night, I was looking for them because I do roll call every night and make sure that they were in their place. Stephen Jones and Beanie Bell were not in their rooms. I checked with the ones that were assigned to make sure they were all right. I said, we don't know where they went. They left. And I was furious. I was upset. I had everybody looking for them. I'm like, how am I going to tell their mom and daddy that somebody snatched them in New York and I should have been watching them? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. And so walking down the street, I went out the back door. Here comes Steve and Beanie walking down the street at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I told them a few things, and we got the rest of the week pretty good because I told them some few things. And so we got through the next week, and they never did that again. But so many incidents, so many times that we traveled and got to meet people in the music industry. Never really recorded. We attempted a recording session, and it really didn't go well, didn't go through. And then we continued, and for a while, we would have different personnel that would come in. And after receiving a call to ministry, to preach, the Lord gave me that I need to go to school. And so I left in 1979 to go to Dallas, Texas, to Bishop College to pursue my education in the area of religion and philosophy. But the group was going strong, and I didn't want to just leave them. So Irvin Rogers took over and led them and continued to work with them along with David Brock. And Ivan Rogers did some directing, and then we had a good friend from Chicago named Ron Ellerson, uh, who came over and assisted also in teaching the sounds. And they continued going till I got back home in 1981, and we continued with singing and continued traveling. Um, but then by 1983, I moved back to Texas, and that's when we discontinued the Sounds Unlimited. So we haven't been together since about 1983. And so this reunion that we decided to have, we've been talking about it for years, came up after actually the loss of our last member that went home to be with the Lord, Alfreda Randolph, the youngest member of the group. And we had been saying we're going to have a reunion, we're going to have a reunion. So after that occurred, we decided this it, we're not putting it off any longer. So that's how this weekend that we pursued Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night came into being. We wanted, first of all, to be a blessing to Benton Harbor. We wanted to share the goodness of the Lord that He has brought all of us, because each one of us have had our own challenges and situations and have gone through so many difficult times. And so the theme for our reunion in 2017 was Tell It Like It Is. We used to sing a song, Tell It Like It Is, hasn't the Lord been good to you? Tell it like it is, hasn't God seen you through? And so that's what we came to testify in. And this testimonies have gone forth so strong. God has blessed us. Some things we didn't even know people of our group hadn't been through. And it was so inspiring and so moving, so inspirational that some have continued or decided to keep going in their ministry, even though they're about to give up and quit in different music areas. But they decided to keep on going. And not only that, after this weekend that we've had with this reunion, the unanimous vote was let's do it again. And so we're planning already for 2018. The projected date is the second Sunday weekend in April that we want to get together. So throughout the years, we've continued singing and done studio work. We've, again, traveled. We're blessed to meet so many people, quote unquote, the famous ones. And then we've been able to share with each other's family down through the years. And it's still like one big family. We love each other like that. We spend a lot of time together. And yes, we would have some problems, but we'd get over it and go on to the next thing. So I'm thankful for the members of the group of the Sounds Unlimited. Sometimes I think it's a wonder how they even like me, because sometimes we would have rehearsals 3-4 hours, and they would stay. Sometimes they would stay not wanting to, but because I suppose they respected me, and we pursued excellence. And I probably was a little difficult, a little stern to work with, I'm sure, but I was wanting to make sure that we were able to put forth the best we could do it and pursue with the spirit of excellence. And I can proudly say that they did that. And I continue to say, I don't care, I've been in a lot of places, but I still haven't seen that anywhere that voices, gospel music, singers are any better than the ones I grew up with in Benton Harbor, Michigan. We've had some awesome singers to listen to down through the years in Benton Harbor. The list is so long, I couldn't even start to call the names, but so many people that we had to look up to, and we emulate their voices and learn how to sing because of what we heard from them. And back in that time, we had musicals, and we enjoyed going to church. And church was fun. We didn't have phones, smartphones. We didn't have uh, games on the phone, and we didn't have things. So we usually didn't have anything to do. So church became something to do. And I was talking to my oldest son not long ago, and I was telling him, well, we need to do this at church. He said, Dad, you got to understand, people here in this day and time don't go to church for fun. And had to kick in a reality to me, I guess you're right. We went to church because it was fun, and fun meaning we enjoyed it. Yes, it was inspirational. Yes, we enjoyed being in the worship experience, but really it was something to do that we usually didn't have anything to do. So I know we live in a time where it's hard to get folks to come to church. If they make it to a morning service, afternoon or a night musical is almost zero. But we did a lot of those. We had a lot of those. Matter of fact, there was a time that during our singing period that we had a second Sunday night musical every month. Um, and we were blessed to have people come in. We just get together and invite different choirs, groups, quartets, soloists to come in and sing on those second Sunday nights, and it would be packed out, and we would just love it and enjoy it, and just the fellowship. And then I'm thankful in Ben Harbor. We're always blessed with churches that open their doors for us to come in and rehearse. So many, if I start naming them, I don't want to leave it out. But I remember we started, first of all, in my parents' home, 660 Pearl Street, Ben Harbor, Michigan. And got to go to Greater Harvest Baptist Church, Reverend Richardson. Now, these are churches that the pastor would entrust keys to me to go into their churches and lock their doors and rehearse whenever we got ready, as long as they weren't using church. Ebenezer Baptist Church, I had a key just like I was a deacon uh, under Reverend Walter Brown, and New Bethel Baptist Church under Reverend M.P. McAfee, Peters Rock Baptist Church under Reverend Barnes, I think at that time. We were just blessed, and they would open their doors and invite us to sing, and because we were using their churches to rehearse, when they needed us for programs, they'd call us, we'd be available. Don't want to forget about Pilgrim Rest. We're often able to go there. Progressive Baptist Church, we were able to go there. Like I said, if I started calling, I'd probably leave somebody out, but we were so blessed. And I count it a blessing to have been with the Sounds who have come from near and far this weekend, far as Atlanta and, of course, Texas and Indiana and Illinois and certainly around Michigan area. We've gathered this weekend and we had a joyous time. I wish now that we could have recorded our personal rehearsal, because that was a wonderful service. We were just there rehearsing and sang together in all these years. And in that rehearsal, it was almost unbelievable to the way the Spirit poured in, because our hearts were on one accord. So I'm thankful to each member of the Sounds Unlimited Gospel Ensemble. Started out this project with saying, let's just do it. And when I knew anything, I had gathered a bill of about $3,000. And I got to thinking, Lott, what have you done? I brought my money with me in case I need to pay something, but I'm thankful. I prayed, I asked God to do this miraculous thing. Where is Ben Harbor people going to get $3,000 from? But to my surprise, we got everything we needed. We paid every bill. I got all of my finances back. And I left gifts for each one of my group members, and we were able to honor some of the pioneer singers that are still in the area on the battlefield. And God blessed us. I thank God for Pastor Willie T. Burden of the New Paradise Baptist Church, who opened these doors willingly, and then Pastor Maurice McAfee, the New Bethel Baptist Church, opened his doors, where we had an outpouring of support, and people were there saying, what else do we need? And we were just blessed this weekend, and I'm going to close it down. I thank again those that came from near and far. It was a great blessing to see one another, and pray God would keep you in perfect peace. Let his grace and his mercy shine on you and lead you and guide you. And we pray, God, that we're going to be back in Ben Harbor again the second Sunday of April, 2018. I think all those that were around to support, from the sound man to the video man, the flower lady, everything was great. Everything was beautiful. I have no complaints. Thank God that we're still here. We're still alive to love one and see each other. So until we meet again, God be with you. God bless you.